Hey guys, I'm Kristen, the anxiety therapist. Today I actually had a certain topic in mind, but decided to do an impromptu video on COVID anxiety. I know we're all tired of talking about it, we're all tired of hearing about it, but I think a few of the points I'm going to make really apply to a lot of different parts of life and different situations. So first and foremost, in this case, anxiety is actually an important emotion to experience, right? It dates back to our ancestors where, they had to experience that fight, flight, or freeze response when they were out hunting for food or trying to keep themselves safe from predators, things like that. So anxiety is actually a very important and functional emotion that we often forget about. When it crosses the threshold into anxiety, it's when our brain can't differentiate between an actual threat and a perceived threat. So in the case of COVID, COVID is an actual threat, right? It is a threat to our physical safety and to our health. And so it's only natural that most of us would have some anxiety surrounding it. So what do we do in that case? Well, the most important thing to remember is that we only have control of ourselves. So every day, and I know it feels like Groundhog Day, or it's such uncertainty in regard to what tomorrow is going to be. Our school's going to be open? Is somebody going to report a positive case, and so on and so forth. So this is where mindfulness really becomes important, meaning that you just focus on one day at a time, right? Not even 1 hour at a time. What can you do in order to prioritize what you need and keep yourself and your family safe during that time? It has also created a lot of conflict within families. CPS, Chicago Public Schools, and the union just had a pretty big standoff last week in regard to policies surrounding that. So another thing to keep in mind is that you can't control anyone else, right? You only have control over your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. And same goes for everyone else. So I know there are a lot of different opinions and belief systems about COVID out there. And, you are not necessarily going to change someone's belief system. I'm not saying just don't advocate for what you believe or just lay down and give up, but rather, you can share a different perspective with someone who might have a different opinion than you. Just don't go in with expectations, right? Because you're setting yourself up for disappointment. I think it's important to recognize that, we all have different belief systems based upon our own experiences and our own interpretation of things. And a lot of what's going on with COVID right now is just speaking to larger systemic issues within our education system, within our healthcare system, within politics, So there are a lot of buttons being pushed right now that COVID has just sort of brought to the forefront. So again, if you're experiencing anxiety about COVID, just know that it's normal, right? Know that it's a protective mechanism that all humans and animals have in order to keep ourselves alive and safe. And if you feel like it's sort of crossing the threshold into irrational anxiety, just focus on what you do have control over. Take one day at a time, take 1 hour at a time. Try to stay as present focused as possible, because worrying about things that are out of your control feel like you're being proactive. It feels like you're doing something and taking action, but in reality, it's just wasted energy, and it actually adds fuel to the fire and sort of feeds that anxiety loop in your head. So hopefully we'll be out of this soon. I know it's been just horrific for everyone, and it's really unfortunate. It's created such a divide instead of all of us sort of joining together. But it is what it is, and we sort of have to just navigate it from here on out and focus on what we can control in our own lives. Okay, so stay tuned for more videos every Friday, and I'll see you guys next week.